Hi and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing a very hotly requested video, which is going to be a question and answer session about doing a year abroad at the Sorbonne University in Paris. That's what I'm doing this year. So I'm doing an Erasmus exchange in Paris at the Sorbonne as part of my degree at the University of Warwick in England. And so I kind of put out a thing and I've got a load of questions asking me about all sorts of things to do with studying at the Sorbonne. So I haven't gone through the questions, I'm just gonna answer them as they come up. I'll do kind of as many as it takes to get a proper video going. But yeah, I'm gonna be reading them off my phone so that I get the real question. I don't end up putting words in people's mouths. But yeah, I think that this would be really useful because I wish that there had been something this specific for me when I was applying, because I honestly had no idea. Like, all of this has been winging it. I've been winging it from day one, but I've got some really, really good tips for people. So let's get started. Question 1. What is accommodation like? Do you live in halls or do you live in a house with other students? Okay, so the Sorbonne University doesn't actually have halls of residence like we do in the UK. Most universities, I think, have halls on campus, which makes it so much easier because you just live at your university. The Sorbonne doesn't have that. There is a thing called CROUS, which is C-R-O-U-S, which they do have, like, it's an independent department, or not even part of the university, it's just an independent group, and they have university, accommodation for university students, and you can apply to that, and it's not sure that you'll get it, but you can apply there, and it's fairly cheap as well. I actually did get a place at one of the CROUS residences, but I turned it down because I got a place somewhere else. But definitely do apply to CROUS because it's, from what I've heard, it's really, really nice and it's fairly cheap as well. There's a place in the south of Paris called the Cité Universitaire, which is literally like almost like a village. I don't know, it's like a quarter, an area of Paris where they're just literally just student houses. And it's called the Cité Internationale, and it's got a house from every country that's kind of a part of this scheme. So yeah, I applied to the Danish house because I'm actually Danish, and I got a place here, so that's where I'm living. And it's very campus based, it's kind of closed campus with security and stuff, so it's all super safe. There's loads of houses and it's just students that live here, and it's like no cars or anything, super nice. So literally, if I'm looking out my window right now, like there's the Spanish house, there's the Italian house, there's the Indian house, we've got the Swedish house across the road, and we're next to the Japanese house. So it's really interesting to kind of see how this campus has been brought to life by all these houses. And I would highly recommend that if you're coming from a country that has a house, research it and apply to your house, because honestly, like, I'm so glad that I live here. It's just an amazing atmosphere, super good transport connections and everything. We're still within the Paris periphery, and honestly, like, it's just amazing. But this is something that I completely found out by myself. Warwick said nothing. Honestly, like, not to bash Warwick or anything, but there wasn't a lot of help for accommodation at all. It was really just kind of, we got sent out there on our own, and that was super stressful because, like, most people didn't have accommodation sorted before this summer, and you know, school starts in September. So yeah, I wish there had been more information, which is why I'm making this video. So yeah, definitely Cité Universitaire, check if there's a house for your country and apply, and check, because I think applications are really soon, so check those, because honestly, like, I love it here. Okay, next question. How much money to save? That's actually a very good question, and again, like, this is something that I really didn't know, and it was kind of the thing that came up in talks and stuff at uni, and people ask, like, how much money should I bring? The teachers are very kind of like, oh, well, it depends. But that's true, it does depend. Obviously, you need to be able to pay rent, and that comes into kind of where you end up living, because obviously it varies, but you're living in the capital city of France if you're moving to Paris. So rent, I would say expect a minimum of 600 euros a month just for rent. And then obviously you want to factor in how much food you eat and stuff, and I mean, yeah, I'd say like 100 euros a month of food, so that gets to 700 euros a month. And then obviously activities and stuff, like, so it can get very, very expensive. If you're coming from the UK, which like I am, obviously you'll have your student loan and your maintenance loan, and that will really depend on how much money your parents earn. My maintenance loan is the lowest. And so I had to work the whole summer before I came, and I was working ridiculous hours at this hotel, but it's worth it because I'm here now. So it really does depend on your financial situation, how much money you want to be bringing with you, but I did save a lot of money before I came. Also, if you're doing an Erasmus exchange, you get money for free from the Erasmus program, and that depends, again, the amount depends on what kind of course you're doing or what kind of thing you're doing on your year abroad. So if you're teaching or doing working, doing an internship, you get more money than if you're studying, which kind of doesn't make sense. But I'm studying, so I also get the lowest amount for that, which really meant that I had to work before I came here. And also, whilst I'm living here, I babysit at least once a week, which basically pays for my food whilst I'm here. So I would say you want a lot of money, like factoring out food and accommodation. You still need money to be able to travel home if you want to be going home, or if you want to be doing trips within France or out of France and kind of having a life that isn't boring. You also need money to be able to buy books for uni and stuff, so it's super expensive, and Paris is super, super expensive as well. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Okay, did you ever wish you'd picked a language/country other than France whilst you were living there? No. I've known since GCSE level that French was the language that I wanted to learn. I did French and Spanish up until GCSE, and then after GCSE I picked French. And so from A level I knew that French was the language that I wanted to do. And after A level I actually did take a kind of a year off before university, and I was an au pair in Paris. And that really cemented my idea in my head that I wanted to do French and that I wanted to live in Paris. So that really, really helped me. And I can see how somebody who hadn't done it before may have doubts or second thoughts, but I never, ever, ever did. So yeah, I would highly recommend that if you are kind of an A-level student looking at doing languages at university and thinking about where you might go and stuff, go and try it out. Go and be an au pair, or go and work in a city for a couple of months or a year and just see for yourself. Okay. How hard or easy was it for you to make some new friends coming in as a second year? What difficulties did you face, and do you think these friends will last? Okay, the first bit, coming in as a second year. So I'm doing my year abroad in my second year, not my third year, and most people do it in their third year. So I was a year behind most of the people that I went on a year abroad with. Luckily, I did know some people from a university that were going to Paris, so I had immediately some connection with people who are in the same position as me. Making friends, because I was an au pair in Paris before I began at university, I already had friends here. So some of my absolute best friends lived in Paris. So when I arrived, it was like coming home basically. I didn't have that worry about making friends. But I remember when I came here the first time as an au pair, I knew nobody. And that is super scary. So I feel like that's what a lot of people might feel going on their year abroad. So honestly, like, it is really hard to make friends, but just try and talk to people on your course. Try and, you know, if you're in accommodation, make sure you get to know your neighbours and stuff. There's loads of Facebook groups for Erasmus students and for kind of expats and stuff. So go on those and literally just go out and meet people. Like, you can't just sit in your room and complain that you don't have any friends. Like, you just got to go out and make friends. And then the second half of that question, what difficulties did you face, and do you think these friends will last? So difficulties within making friends. I mean, I feel like French students are very standoffish towards international students in their classes. I've not really made friends in my school classes. And I mean, I haven't put in that much effort either because I had friends outside of school already, but I do feel as though it can be very hard to kind of break that barrier and get into the French friendship circles. So that's definitely a difficulty. Do I think my friends will last? Yes. I mean, they've already lasted since I was an au pair in Paris the first time around, which was over 2 years ago. So I know that the friends I have had since then are going to last forever. But the friends that I've made kind of coming in this year, mostly in my house that I live with, again, within the Ciseaux Universitaire, you get to meet so many people. There are definitely at least a handful of people that I'm going to be friends with for life. I know that. I have the most amazing neighbour, and yeah, no, there's definitely some people in this house that I'm going to be friends with for a very, very long time. What subjects at the Sorbonne are in English? Alright, I honestly... I don't know. I really think I mean, I'm doing literature, and within the literature degree, there's like 2 modules in literature that are in English. The Sorbonne teach in French. Everything is taught in French, from what I know. So you can't really go to the Sorbonne not speaking French. That's just stupid. And like, why would you go to a country and live there if you don't speak the language anyway? Like, if you're not going to make an effort, don't go. Like, that's my philosophy. Like, you've got to make an effort. But as for what subjects are taught in French, honestly, like, I have one module that's taught in English, which is about English cinema. But yeah, everything's taught in French, honestly. Pick a different school if you want to be taught in English. So like Sciences Po, for example, they teach in English. Go there. If you want to be taught in French by French teachers in France, go to the Sorbonne. What are all the different Sorbonne universities? Because I've noticed there are different ones like the Pantheon, etc. Alright. The Sorbonne is split up into different universities. It's a group of universities that are under the name Sorbonne. I think it's a bit like the London universities, where they come under the University of London, but obviously there's loads of different ones. I know that there was a merger like last year, which merged a couple of different universities into Sorbonne Université, and they got a new logo and everything. But honestly, I don't know that much. So there's numbers. So I'm in Sorbonne 4, which is lettres, which is literature and history and stuff. But there's like the science, there's the Sorbonne Marie and Pierre Curie, which is the kind of science department, but honestly, go and research that online. I don't know. I want to take an admission in the Sorbonne. Please help me. I don't know about the procedures and academic requirements of the university. Go and research online. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not the best person to ask this because I'm on my year abroad at the Sorbonne, so I never applied directly to the Sorbonne. I applied to them as an exchange student, not as a student doing their degree there. So I honestly don't know that much about it. Although, if you're coming from Erasmus, or through an Erasmus program, specifically from Warwick, which is where I came from, I had to write like an application letter. I think it was like 2 A4 pages typed about why I wanted to come here, kind of why they should pick me, and then my university picked, well, they chose the people who they wanted to send to the Sorbonne, and then they like recommended us to the Sorbonne, and then they accepted us. So it's kind of a bit of a long-winded process, but if you're coming from outside, honestly, I'm not sure. What's it like living in Paris? I love it. It's fantastic. Paris is where my heart is. Ever since I was an au pair here, I've known that this is where I want to be. It's a very big city and it's very busy and there's lots of people, and you can feel extremely lonely if you don't take steps towards meeting people and having friends and going out and stuff. I mean, I feel like it's the kind of city where up on the 6th floor of every building there's somebody sat alone, not knowing how to break into the crowd. And that can be really lonely, I think, for some people. But for me, I love it. There's no place I would rather be than here. Alright, so I've answered kind of my top questions that I chose from the ones that got asked. So otherwise the video is going to be way too long, but if people are interested, I will go and answer more questions in another video if you want. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that I've helped a little bit with some people on how to kind of live and what to do in the Sorbonne. If people had questions, I hope that I've answered them, because I wish that there was something like this out there. Somebody that would be able to answer my questions. So yeah, I really hope that this has been helpful somehow, and I'll see you all in the next video.